Hey, Gavin wants to talk to you.
Hey, Gavin, what's up?
How you doing, man?
Hey, not too bad.
Hey, I just want to let you know you did a great job. You kept the message going out. You did what was impossible for most, and Jeff and Sandy, Sean, all you guys. And don't let any of the naysayers and trolls get you down. The world's watching, and the Patriots see that you guys are standing up.
Right. Yeah, definitely. It's pretty cool how you all came along in this.
Everybody's got to.
The interesting thing is that we have to realize is that this is opening a dialogue that would have never been opened otherwise.
Right.
On my radio show today, I made sure that everybody realized that you guys are not the first to suffer from this. We're forgetting about Bonner County, Idaho. We're forgetting about the Sacketts in Idaho. We're forgetting about Jack Barron. We're forgetting about the people along the Red River in Texas. We're forgetting about the fact that people in California, the ranchers and the farmers, have been fighting for decades in this battle. A decade-long fight that is now coming to light. And the interesting thing is, Gavin, I'm watching this sort of live chat thing that's happening, and I'm enjoying the freedom of speech that's happening there between the people who agree and who disagree. And the interesting thing is, even those people who are hateful, who have nothing valuable to say but to throw out names and to throw out nasty words, even they are supporting the dialogue. They're keeping this open so people will talk about this. And
right.
People will look for education. All the hateful things that they're saying about Gavin, and all the hateful things that they're saying about me and Michelle and Matt Shea and all the people of the coalition of Western states, all they're doing is driving people to us for information.
Right.
And we cannot hide the truth, right?
Exactly.
Because all we have to do, we don't have to respond to all their ugliness and nastiness. They identify and classify themselves with their own words. And so what we simply need to do is simply speak up and speak truth and speak peace and speak love and speak the liberty that we are all supposed to be embracing. Because the irony is, right, all their hatefulness is supported by the very same liberty that we are defending. And they don't realize, because they've been indoctrinated for so long, they don't realize that they're enslaving themselves. And I love them. I love all of them. And I want them to be free. And I want my child to be free. And this is what we're all about. And I just want everybody to stay encouraged about this, because we haven't been talking about this for decades. And we are now able to actually bring truth that people were unwilling to look at before.
Right. Well, and yeah. And
I'm wondering when will Americans, and I say Americans as in people with morals. There's a lot of people that I don't consider Americans, but when will people realize that they need to stand up for their own dignity? Even this federal government is way out of hand. They just recently did that Obamacare. They're forcing you to have insurance on your existence. So that's pretty corrupt right there. And then they're taking your money, and you got to think of money as your life, because you have to use your time, your life, to get that money. So they're taking your life and funding killing babies and stuff, and it gets pretty graphic. So
yeah,
that's bad. Obviously that's a lot of bad stuff going on. Killing all these people over there in the Middle East. Not a good Muslim isn't a dead Muslim. Like, you see a lot of that crap going on. There's radicalized Americans now, but there's a lot of good Muslims. So people need to start, waking up, because they're kind of putting themselves in a trap by believing the way they do right now. We got to learn to
liberties,
and fight. Right.
Liberties for everybody. We don't hate our neighbor. We judge people on individual actions. And, we may say, well, we disagree with what the Muslims do. And obviously, we're not going to allow Sharia law in our country to become law, because it's not law. Just like Chris Hall teaches all the time, the law is our natural rights. It's our God-given rights. And that can't be taken away. But we show everybody liberty.
Listen. That's where the Americans need to understand that a real Muslim does not believe in Sharia law. That's some political Saudi Arabia shit. That's our ally. And so how come our ally is Sharia law? So there's a lot of corruption going on.
The bottom line is here, we need to realize that There's a reason that our framers created a constitutional republic. There are avenues that we are supposed to be taking to maintain the limited nature of our government, and we have been absent in the whole process for so very long. We have been negligent of our duty to control our government, and as history dictates, that's the moment when government will try to control us. Every single government on the planet wants to be a kingdom. And when we go to government to be our provider, and we go to government for everything that we need, then we are actually creating the situation where we are we are begging the government to be our king, and we are being the subject. Okay, so we have to really understand that the responsibility falls on us. Eternal vigilance is the duty of the people. Voting does not secure liberty. Getting up and voting once every 4 years does not secure liberty. That's what you do as a member of a republic. You vote. But liberty is something you have to live every single day. Right. And we fail to do that. And part of that is recognizing that I have to be free to believe or not to believe what I want. And I can't control you in what you believe, because the minute government can control you, it can control me. The sword that government has in its hand to secure you will be the sword that it becomes to persecute you every time that government changes its administration. And so we've got to stay focused on the fact that this is not about individual people. This is not even about individual tracts of land. This is the bigger picture about a federal government who has no authority to own land beyond what is delegated specifically in the Constitution. And our framers told us exactly what that was in their own writing. And so we need to make sure that we understand that the Supreme Court does not have the authority to expand the power of the federal government. The Supreme Court is part of the federal government. How can we even imagine that part of the whole should have the authority to expand or limit the power of the whole? That's a completely unlimited government, and that's not who we have. And we've got to get back. Look, the real power that America has, and this is what we need to understand, the real power that America has is in local and state government. Stop being so distracted about all of this presidential election garbage. There is not a single person running for president who is going to fix this problem. And when that person gets elected and he fails, you're going to be disappointed. Put your energy in getting a governor who knows their duty, a sheriff who knows their duty, state legislators who know their duty. And so we need to understand that the proper check and balance in a constitutional republic is the state checking their creation, the federal government. You see, the purpose of the judiciary is to check the legislative and the executive, not to check the state. The state are the check of the federal government, and that's why we're a constitutional republic. Anything else is a kingdom.
Exactly.
This is Sandy. Can I say something?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a request to all Americans to read their Constitution. It was written by our founding fathers for the average person to easily understand it. You do not have to be a lawyer to understand it. It's plain and simple. So that's my request. Please, just like reading your Bible, read your Constitution.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't need lawyers and judges to explain it to us. Our framers worked really hard to make sure that every person could understand it. And the words shall not are not difficult to understand, okay? If you say shall not to your 5-year-old knows he better not do that again. So how does a 5-year-old understand shall not and a congressman does not, and the Supreme Court does not? So these are the things that we need to really get in touch with. And we need to restore the knowledge that created America in the excellent state of liberty that it was created.
Right.
And we don't need licenses or papers stating those rights. By getting a paper or the state or the government to say that you can have something, and you're giving them the authority to say that you need a license to have it, it's not that makes it a privilege, and it's not a privilege, it's a right. You don't need papers to say that you have a right.
Absolutely not. No. And that's why it's important. You know, it's like Chris Ann Hall talks about in the genealogy of the Constitution and where our rights came from. The Constitution doesn't give us rights. It just affirms them. It binds the government to obey the people, but it only does so when the people uphold them to that standard. And think about what you guys, ever since day one, when Ammon set foot on that refuge, and the Patriots all the way to you guys have been trying to stand up for getting the federal government out of land that's illegal for them to be occupying. This message that Chris Ann talks about, that I talk about, that the Center for Self-Governance talks about, that's been put into action like we've never seen before.
Well, and not only that, we've got to really start giving the credibility to the mainstream media that we give it. There are influences there that we have no real control over, and there are agendas there that we cannot see. That's not conspiracy theory. I mean, that is absolute corporate truth. And so what we need to do is start looking at the independent media, like my friend Ben Swan, Truth in Media. So we've got that out there. You've got Jason Stapleton, who is doing his media show interviews and sending out the information. I don't want the message here is hope, because I don't want people to feel alone. I don't want them to feel like they have to stand alone. I mean, that's the whole purpose of the First Amendment. So we're not standing alone, and we have people out there absolutely fighting for our freedom of speech. And they're teaching us and bringing us the truth that other people do not want us to know.
Right.
And so I am just honored to be a part of that team that is just simply echoing the words of the foundation of America, and trying to combat this force that is trying to turn us into something that we are not. I'm amused at this thing of, the people who carry guns are radical, and they say that my interpretation of the Constitution is radical, and the way we teach our rights is radical. I don't think these people know what that word radical actually means, because the right to keep and bear arms is something that the people have held dear for centuries. Freedom of speech for centuries. The right to protect your property for centuries. And now all of a sudden, in our most recent bit of history, right, when we've become so technologically advanced, we've become intellectually stunted, we now believe that principles that have been established for centuries are now radical. That's not what radical is. Radical means that you are going against the standard. Gavin, we are not going against the standard. We are teaching the standard. It's those who are loving government and loving government money and government provision, they're the ones that are going against the standard.
Well, and I think you taught this at one of your classes. I think I heard this from you. We need to own the language. I see people in the chats and on the news, and they call us hateful. They call us radicals. Look, what's happened here over the past few weeks, all up to Lavoie, up to you guys on the ground there now, to Ammon, it's loving your neighbor. It is the opposite of hate. They don't get to take our words. They don't get to take truth and make it evil. Sean, are you guys okay there? Is everything, you haven't talked in a couple minutes, so I want to make sure, do you see anybody there?
Yeah, we're fine.
Well, I think that's why I started a sort of a goal this year on my Facebook page and through the radio show that I do, is this hashtag take back the narrative. Right. Stop chasing all of the lies. Stop feeling like we have to respond to all the lies. We don't have to respond to the lies and the hate. What we need to do is simply step up and speak truth, because it's the truth that defends itself. And the lies classify people as liars. So why are we arguing with liars? Why are we fighting with people who have set aside reason, who no longer